The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Kieran O'Donovan, let's look at the Packers now. And again, like the Bears, a busy free agency for them, and busy not only for the players that they were bringing in, but for the players that they cleared out. I said they must be planning something when we were talking about this during free agency, and you said I'd like to see what the plan is, because there were a lot of exits there, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, for a defense that was one of the best units in the NFL last year and has been for the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, and as you said, more of a notable offseason for the names that have gone out the door, both on offense and defense. If you think about Romeo Dobbs, but Key Walker, Rashawn Gary, Kingsley Enagbare, among three players who, okay, Rashawn Gary mightn't have lived up to expectations, but I think Walker and Enagbare were very, very good players and very good tackling defensive players for the Packers. And that's what the Packers have been, is a good tackling team. And I'm looking at their kind of list of priority needs. The out and out, the standout need, I think, and you can't convince me otherwise, is an absolute shutdown corner. I think they were caught massively in the secondary, and especially deep for deep threats last season. What you saw them do consistently was, get a stop on first, second, third down, leave a fourth and long. The problem was when teams got to fourth and long and they took a shot, invariably they got chunk plays, and it was busted coverage, blown coverage. I mean, you have players in Keyshawn Nixon and Valentine.
You look at those two Bears games when they had the Bears dead and buried twice, and it was their inability to prevent the big play that killed them. Yeah,
and a lot of the talk is what they lacked in terms of sack production when Micah Parsons wasn't on the field, or the guys that you wanted to step up in his absence. But a sack is only one way of getting off the field. The other way of getting off the field is just stopping the run, being stout on defense, making your tackles, which is what they were doing, and then trusting your secondary just to break up the pass. And that's what they consistently didn't do. Now, again, just reading into the draft, while a corner might be their biggest need, seems to be a deeper class for corners than defensive tackles. And while you brought in Javon Hargrave, who is a pass rusher, you lose Colby Wooden, who was a good run stopper. So again, from what I'm reading, you may have to get a defensive tackle earlier than a cornerback if you want to fill both of those needs, if you want to address those needs, and hope that you get something later on. I'm just going to put out a name, throw a name out there. And not an out and out corner, or not an out and out deep corner, but D'Angelo Pons, and see what Kieran has heard from him. A nickelback, known for his speed as opposed to his size. They have brought in Saint-Just, who is. I mentioned his size, but it kind of set you off last week, Conor, a couple of weeks ago, Conor. So he's tall. Let's put it that way. So they now have that size on corner. Whether it's that speed, and I think I wouldn't shut up about Nick Emanwari in Super Bowl week. And if D'Angelo Pons turned out to be the next Emanwari, I don't think I'd be too upset about that.
Conch, passing to you there, Kieran Boyle.
Sorry, Kieran. Yeah, I was teeing you up there.
What's the word on Pons?
Pons, yes. I mean, good player with Indiana. I don't think he'll be. I think he's probably going to be more of a third, fourth round player. The thing here with the Packers is they pick 52nd overall because of the Parsons trade. So, a lot of the kind of premium players are going to be gone by that stage. So where they're going to find the jewels in that second round? I mean, they do need cornerback. I mean, that's
this is where I come back to, like, they clearly have a plan. You don't let that many players go out the door if you're not really confident on what is available in this draft.
For all of his faults, Brian Gutekunst, for all of his perceived faults, and a lot of people argue that he can be a frustrating GM, but Brian Gutekunst has shown the ability to find value in the later rounds, and I'm
blue in the face saying this. They got an elite coaching staff there. They develop players really well in Green Bay. Yeah.
Another couple of sneaky needs as well. Watch out for running backs. I don't know what kind of running backs they're going to be available later on, but Josh Jacobs, they let Wilson out the door as well. Another guy that is going to be a loss next year. They've got some backup running backs who are unproven with potential, but they may look at running back. Backup quarterback is another position. I wonder whether they look to be the next team to sign a Joe Flacco as a backup, because who have they got in there? Desmond Ridder. They've let Malik Willis go, who, I mean, his value was massive in being able to keep the show on the road in the absence of Jordan Love. So don't think they probably won't go and get someone in the draft, but maybe pick somebody up in free agency. So look, again, they're a team that I'd be quite confident in. Offensively, I think they have enough weapons right across in terms of receiver, tight end. They have a good running back in Josh Jacobs. I think it'll be all of those trying to address those defensive needs and bulking up the offensive line as well. I think they're going to need to just establish a bit more depth in that position as well, or in that part of the field.
But you are, Kieran Boyle, going to feel the absence, to your point, of that first round pick. You don't get to take a player off the board until the 52nd overall pick in the second round.
Yeah, and now, I mean, there's going to be a lot of talent out there, and, Kieran mentioned running back as one of the needs. I tend to agree with that too. And after Love, there is a bit of I'm not going to call it precipitous fall off, but there is a little bit of a drop off in quality. I do like his running mate at Notre Dame. Keep a lookout for Jadarian Price. Really strong runner, and he was that kind of thunder and lightning effect for Notre Dame that got them so far in the playoffs. Well, didn't get them to the playoffs, but in the regular season. But I'm tending towards corner. I mean, think about the Bears game. I mean, they gave up 445 total yards in that game. The defense itself wasn't terrible, over the course of the year. They kind of trended in that 12 to 16 rank in all the kind of metrics, but that's not going to be good enough for them. They're going to look at something stronger. There's a guy who I really, really love from Georgia, Dalen Everett, 6'1", ran a 4.38 40 in the combine from Georgia. Just a great, great player. Just the kind of guy he's got real fast hands, former wide receiver. I think he's going to be someone that the Packers are going to really. He's trending towards, middle of second round to middle third round. I think that's someone that the Packers are going to go after, and I think that's somebody that they might pick up. They need cornerback. McKinney back there needs some help. I mean, they do have Javon Bullard and Evan Williams, but I think, you can never have enough help in the secondary, as the Detroit Lions will tell you. So I'm trending towards that. Again, a lot of teams need D-line and edge help, but it's the kind of corners, it's those real niche players at corner, the kind of diamonds in the rough who teams are looking for right now in this draft. And I really like Everett from Georgia. I'd keep an eye out on him in the draft.
Brian, they are one of the more interesting teams to watch in this draft. Because of the Parsons trade last year, that was the move of a team that was achingly close and believed they were achingly close and was prepared to go all in. And they've a lot of work to do in this draft to stay there.
Yeah, they have enough though to offset if Parsons isn't available. I know Parsons is going to come back. You look at their numbers last year, and Kieran know well, there's no player outside of Parsons that had 4 or more sacks. Sorry, had more than 4 sacks over the course of the season. Sean Gary's been traded to the Cowboys. I wonder if an edge rusher is actually what they need. I think they need to complement Parsons on the other side. But whether you get that player in the second round, Packers are close. Conor, I think the enormity of losing those 2 Bears games in such a close proximity, and even the other game in which in Lambeau it was so close to a Bears victory as well, I think that's kind of taken away from a Packers team that were very close last year. And if it wasn't for the Parsons interview, you talk about big moments in the season. That Parsons injury in Denver was huge, and they're not far off the mark. But I think up front,
because you were watching that game up to that point, going, the Packers are absolutely schooling the best team in the AFC. This team could go all the way.
Absolutely, yeah. And then the Broncos come back, and people kind of took away from the Parsons injury, but more so around the fact that the Broncos time and time again found ways to come back at home over the course of the season rather than the enormity of an injury, which led to the Packers losing their star player. I mean, Parsons can't do everything, and I think he felt like he was trying to do everything in Dallas, and it kind of feels to me like I don't want to get back to the same situation where they're so reliant on him. I think they need to find help, and I think another edge rusher needs to be looked at.
You'd wonder would they look to go and pick somebody up in free agency, later in free agency, maybe one of those tried and tested, a Jadeveon Clowney or someone like that, just to bolster that pass rush, even in the absence potentially of Micah Parsons for the first couple of weeks. You know, you're going to need. I don't think you're going to see Micah Parsons week one either.
When you're bringing a player like that in for an impact 1 or 2 games, you're not going to get the production out of him over the course of 17 to 18 weeks in the season. It's about plugging them in situations throughout the course of games, even when Parsons is there, that can come in, make an immediate impact, and then go again.
Yeah,
but you're going to do that if you're confident. It's like the Chiefs move at quarterback. You know you're going to get Patrick Mahomes back, and you're going to be rolling at that point. You just need enough to fill the gap until to keep you in contention.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.